Okay, moving around again. It's just bloody it's a point of getting new computers. The old one worked perfectly happily with us. Anyway, essay number 4. Unemployed 25s pose a huge problem for the economy is the strapline. Yeah, and then A, explain why high levels of unemployment might be considered undesirable for an economy. And really, this is quite soft, I think, as a title. But that people struggled a bit. To come up with a range. And I think really with some things, essentially this is just vomit out everything that you've ever heard, on the subject. Yeah? And I think when you think about it, there are certain key costs of unemployment. Yeah? Most obviously, there's going to be damage to living standards. Yeah, people have unemployed people have less income. As a result, they're not going to have discretionary income to spend. Their disposable income, in any case, is going to have fallen. And as a result, they're not going to be able to afford basic goods and services. Yeah? Some people then link that to some sort of multiplier effect. So because people aren't spending, that's going to have knock-on effects throughout the entire economy. I think obviously, one of the big costs is the cost to the government. As an increase in unemployment is going to lead to a decrease in your tax base, firstly, and secondly, it's also going to lead to an increase in spending, on benefits. So I think that's going to be quite significant. I think you'd want to get across the idea that it's Pareto inefficient. The economy is operating inside its production possibility frontier, which is a waste of resources. I think I'd also want to get across the idea of the risk of de-skilling. When we talk about factors determining things like the NAIRU, we said that one of the problems with long-term unemployment, particularly, is that there's a risk that the labour market moves on, and these people find it very difficult to become employed. So therefore it permanently worsens kind of your self-stabilizing point and so on. And then we talked about lots of the social factors. We talked about heart attacks in places like Greece. So we talked about lots of health issues, family problems in the US and so on. And so really that essay should have been pretty straightforward. I think there's no real excuse for not getting 10 out of 10 on that one, given that you didn't have to write it in the first place. So that's one to choose. And really that's a pretty straightforward title. And part B, really, I think of the 2 section B essays, in some ways I think this one's the easiest. Part B is also relatively straightforward. I think. It's saying evaluate policies the government could use to reduce unemployment significantly in the UK at the present time. And I think obviously the present time is quite important. But I'd be inclined to look at, the way I'd probably write this one is going to go, well, in principle, there's supply side and demand side solutions, and that's often a good way of starting macro essays. And I'd probably talk about, kind of in principle, we can use demand side policies. We can cut interest rates or engage in fiscal expansion, like Trumponomics. And he seems to be wanting to create lots of jobs that way in the United States. But I think the evidence suggests, from what we've studied together, the evidence suggests that there isn't really a whole heap of demand-side unemployment in the economy at the moment. So what I've been inclined to do is go, well, in principle, we could use demand-side policies, but the danger is that at the present moment in time, we should bang up aggregate demand in whatever. Well, not that there's much scope for cutting interest rates any further anyway. But if you were to engage in some sort of Trumpian fiscal expansion, then probably the reality is you're going to cause loads of inflation. So that's the first section of your essay. Section 2 then is saying, so probably if we're going to sort out unemployment in the UK at the present time, then we need some sort of supply-side solution. The supply-side solution will depend on what we think the problem is. And when we studied this, we said that there's 900,000 people who are unemployed for less than 6 months, suggesting that frictional unemployment is a bit of a problem. So we could think about kind of ways in which we could reduce frictional unemployment. We talked about the idea of we said that frictional unemployment stems from maybe problems with motivation, information, and administration. So what I've been inclined to do is to come up with some supply-side policies that you think might work on that, better information and so on, and then just evaluate the extent to which you think they're going to work. The reality is I think frictional unemployment is very difficult to get rid of. You might make a marginal difference, but it's whatever you try, in terms of improving job centres and so it's an intractable problem. Yeah? I mean, and in any case, some would argue that that a degree of frictional unemployment is really the sign of a healthy economy. That you want churn. You want this the process of creative destruction, all that type of stuff. You want industries dying, and that are as demand switches to new areas and resources to be redeployed. We also said that youth unemployment is a big problem in the UK at the moment. So. And we did quite a bit on apprenticeships and stuff like that. So that would be a good supply side policy to talk about. And some people did this, and they evaluated by contrasting the apprenticeship schemes in the UK with the ones that we looked at in Germany. Regional, obviously, we know that's a big problem, driven partly by problems in skills, problems in the housing market, and so on. So infrastructure projects potentially, although timescale on those is HS2 and 3. Are they really the key in the modern world, or should we be looking at kind of government sponsored high-speed broadband, or what should we be doing? And maybe real wages. So we know that the UK's minimum wage is pretty high by global standards. Maybe that's an issue. And also the kind of non-wage costs associated with employing people as well, like employers' national insurance contributions, pension contributions, so on. And the best answers looked at those, but then tried to kind of say, well, how much difference is this really going to make? But so for me, I'd be looking at, in principle, we can use demand side, but that's not appropriate in the UK at the present time. Then I'd say, what is the problem in the UK at the present time? Pick on 2 or 3 of the key issues. Probably not all of those, you probably wouldn't have time, but pick on 2 or 3 of the key issues. Look at a policy that, in principle, could be used to solve those, or a set of policies, and then qualify the extent to which you think that's likely to work. And really, that should have been a relatively straightforward essay. Again, if you know your notes, and that's true of the inflation one, essay 3 as well. If you know your notes, you've got causes, costs, cures, then really there shouldn't be a big problem here.